Welcome to Rate the Audits, where we put misconduct on display, explore police and legal content, protect rights and demand accountability. This episode is brought to us by To Plod or Not to Plod. Be sure to check the link below and subscribe to his channel and give him the credit he deserves. In this episode, Auditor Plod walks into a publicly accessible police station car park, fully within his rights. But he's quickly met by a sergeant with a confrontational attitude who starts making up laws and threatens arrest to kick the auditor out. It's an aggressive display of authority with zero legal basis. Then a PCSO arrives with a far more reasonable attitude, showing there's a big difference between officers who want to learn and those who just want control.
Why can I not?
It's a private car park, sir.
It's a public car.
Public area.
Okay, first of all, can you identify yourself properly for me?
Police officer.
Okay, yep. But who are you?
I'm asking you to leave a private area.
I'm asking you to identify yourself
No,
properly.
I'm asking you.
If you identify, then we'll engage.
Okay, I'm Sergeant Brown
Thank you.
from Shelburne Police Station. My call number is 2374.
Thank you very much, Sergeant.
You're in a private car park.
Okay, so what
You're
says
not
that
on
I
public
can't?
land.
What says that I can't come here?
This is a private car park.
It doesn't say private.
Excuse me, I'm asking you to leave.
It doesn't say private.
Okay, I'm asking you to leave a private
This,
car park.
okay, is public property.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Who pays for it?
This is a police station
Who
car
pays
park
for it?
for private police vehicles.
No, it doesn't
Police
say that.
personnel.
It doesn't say that.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm asking
I've
you to
broken no
leave.
laws.
Okay,
I've broken no laws.
okay, I'm asking you to leave the
Yeah,
police
but I've
station.
broken no laws. Okay, it is a
You're
public.
trespassing.
No, I'm not trespassing.
You are
Trespass is
trespassing.
civil.
Okay,
Trespass is
you're
civil.
creating a breach of the peace, which you can be arrested for.
Okay,
removed,
so where's
okay?
the member of the public?
Excuse me.
Okay, there is no member of the public,
Excuse
so
me.
it can't be breach of the peace.
Excuse me.
The sergeant's approach right from the start is aggressive and built on shaky legal ground, claiming the car park is private, yet offers no signage, barrier, or lawful direction to support that claim. In law, publicly accessible areas of police premises, like open car parks or front office approaches, cannot be treated as private just because an officer says so. Without clear restrictions in place, the auditor is within his rights to be there and record. The sergeant then escalates further by claiming the auditor is causing a breach of the peace, which is a serious allegation, but the auditor responds correctly, "Where's the member of the public?" And that cuts straight to the heart of the issue. For a breach of the peace to exist under UK law, there must be a real or imminent threat of violence or disturbance involving others, typically a reaction from a third party, such as a member of the public being alarmed or provoked. In this case, no such person is present, and the only tension is coming from the sergeant himself.
You are in a private police station, private
No,
car park.
I am not in a
I'm
private
asking you
car
to
park. I am not in a private car park. If you can then show me which law that is.
No, I'm.
Okay.
If you,
No, if you show me the
yourself-
law, if you show me the
Okay,
law,
yeah.
I will gladly move.
Okay.
That's not a problem at all with me.
Okay, I'm asking you to move, and I'm telling you, you're creating a breach of the peace by being here.
What breach of
If
the
you-
peace?
if you
What
do
breach
not-
of the
if you
peace?
do not leave,
There is no member of the
You'll be
public
arrested
here.
for a breach of the peace, and you will be removed.
There is no member of the public here, sir. Okay, so as I said to you, if you can tell me which law
There is no member of the public
which
here.
law it is, okay, to do with breach of the peace, then I will actually deal with that.
I'm asking you to remove yourself.
And I
from a
said that I
private
do not
police
have
car
to move.
park, okay?
I do not have
Well,
to
I'm
move.
telling you that you do.
No, whether or not you
okay?
tell
And
me
I'm advising
and what
you
the
that
law
if
is,
you do not, you will
okay,
be removed.
whether or not,
Okay.
okay,
You will
if
be
you
removed, to
and that
prevent
will
a
be
breach of the
completely
peace.
unlawful.
Okay.
That will be completely unlawful.
Okay, I disagree.
This is a clear misuse of the breach of the peace doctrine, which is meant to prevent imminent violence or disturbance, not to remove someone simply because their presence is inconvenient or unwelcome. The auditor is absolutely right when he responds that such an action would be completely unlawful. What's happening here is a tactic often used when an officer has no real legal authority to remove someone, so they invoke breach of the peace as a catch-all threat. But courts have repeatedly ruled that this power must be used sparingly and lawfully, not to sidestep rights like freedom of expression or access to public spaces.
Okay, as I've already requested from you 4 times now, and I'll request it for a 5th time.
Yeah.
If you can actually show me which law
I've just told
says
you,
that I
to
can't
prevent a
be
breach
here.
of the peace.
No, which law that I can't
Just
be
told
here.
you to prevent a breach of the peace.
Breach
Doesn't
of
matter
the
where you
peace
are.
isn't the law to do
Breach of
with
the
where
peace-
I stand
breach
on
of the peace
public
can
property.
occur in private or public
Okay.
property.
Yeah, and this
A
is
breach of the
public
peace-
property.
Yes, exactly. So
No,
a breach
you
of the peace
approach
can
me.
occur here.
You approach me.
And you, by
Okay.
being here, are
That's
the
not
cause
breach
of
of
that
the
breach
peace.
of the peace.
No,
So
you came
will
to
be
me.
removed if you do
came
not.
to me. Okay.
you will be
right.
removed.
Do you know who the MPCC are? Yes. Do you know who the MPCC
I
are?
need to answer that question.
Okay. Well, you might want to read that then.
I don't need to read that.
Well, you should read it.
I'm telling
okay?
you, you're on private property.
And before
and
you
that's what need
actually say anything, okay, and this is from the NPCC, okay, and then read that, and then you'll see that I can be here and I can
I
film.
don't need to read that.
Okay, so you're refusing to actually uphold what they've actually set out.
This moment reveals a lot about the sergeant's attitude toward both accountability and the law. When the auditor presents a document from the MPCC, the Media and Communications Committee of the College of Policing, it's a clear effort to educate and de-escalate. The paper is likely outlining the public's right to film and access publicly accessible areas, including parts of police premises not clearly marked as restricted. Instead of engaging with the information, the sergeant refuses to even read it, a telling sign that he's not interested in facts or guidance, only in maintaining control. This isn't just unprofessional, it's deeply problematic. Officers have a duty under the Code of Ethics and College of Policing guidance to remain open, reasonable, and informed. Refusing to look at relevant information, especially when challenged by a member of the public, undermines those responsibilities completely.
You're an embarrassment. And is your body camera on, by the way?
Absolutely.
Okay, why didn't you tell me?
You didn't give me a chance. You're talking to
Okay.
me. You didn't tell me you're recording.
I don't need to. You do. You do. You collect data, and under data protection laws, okay, and on your actual own website, you're meant to inform the members of the public when you turn your body camera on at the first available moment. Okay? So, and I will be requesting a copy of that footage, so make sure that you don't delete it. Okay? If you had the correct signage, I want to come in. Okay?
I'm telling you, it's private. I'm telling you, informing you, a police officer's telling you,
Regardless,
there's a private area, there's private...
It doesn't state that.
Private vehicles
It
here.
no,
Okay. There are private
it's public
vehicles.
information.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've informed you,
Okay.
I've informed you as a police officer, this is a private area, okay?
It doesn't
and
state
I'm
that.
asking you to leave.
If you can show me where it states that.
Okay?
Okay.
I'm telling you.
No,
I'm
whether or not
informing
you tell me, what you tell me does not trump what my legal right is.
Yeah, I'm asking
Okay,
you to
and
leave,
it doesn't
okay?
trump what my legal
I'm
right
asking you
is.
to leave. If you remain here, you'll be removed.
Okay, by who?
By myself.
By who?
By myself.
Okay, and I told you, if you touch me, it will be unlawful.
Okay.
He repeatedly insists, as a police officer, I'm telling you it's private, as if his uniform alone is enough to override the law. In UK law, public access isn't revoked just because an officer says so. If an area is genuinely private or restricted, that needs to be made clear through signage, physical barriers, or a lawful direction backed by statute. This attitude is not just dismissive, it's dangerous. Policing in a free society is based on consent and law, not rank and assumption. Officers must be able to explain and justify their actions with reference to actual legislation or policy. When they rely purely on the badge and refuse to engage with facts, they're not enforcing the law. They're bending it to suit their ego.
Okay, that's why I've just walked back there to double check
Yep.
for signage. You do not have any signage at all
I'm informing
that states
you.
private.
I'm informing you. This is a
You
private area,
you
okay?
informing me saying private, okay? I can tell you, okay, I'm the Prime Minister, okay? And it makes no difference what I say, because there's no way of actually backing that up.
I'm telling you, by your presence here, you're creating a breach of the peace. Okay?
I'm not creating
For which
that
you can be
breach of the
arrested-
peace.
For which you can be arrested.
Who
You are.
approached who? Who approached
Your
who?
presence here is
No,
causing a breach of the peace.
no.
Because if you weren't
Who
here, I wouldn't
approached
be
who?
here. If you weren't here, I wouldn't
Well, you
be
don't
here.
have to be here.
I do, because
No,
you're,
you do
you're
not.
in a private police area.
It doesn't
trespassing.
state private.
Yeah. You've been
Okay.
informed
It doesn't
that
state
this-
private,
you've been
and it's not a
informed-
restricted area.
you've been-
It's not a restricted
Yeah,
area
you've been
because
informed
there's no
it's not
barriers or nothing. Okay, so there is nothing there. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, thank you.
Good.
So you know I'm recording. So
No worries. Thank you very much. Can you just identify yourself properly for me, please?
I can say I'm Richard, PCSO 5992.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. So why
I'm just filming a public building. Okay, you know who the MPCC are, yeah? Okay. So are you fully aware of what they do?
well, let's see.
Okay.
You can have a look at the letter.
Yeah, please do.
Fine.
Please do, and I'm glad that you did, okay? And it's good that a PCSO has actually taken that up, okay? When you've got an actual sworn constable there, that wouldn't actually take that to actually have a look.
Oh, I can always, you can always read things. I mean,
Yeah, no, by all means. That's why I carry that on me, and that's the reason why the MPCC actually got involved, is because we have the right to actually do this. And that's why I would say thank you to you for actually taking that and actually having a read of it, and you can see how important it is to actually have documents like that on us.
When the PCSO steps out, he immediately does what the sergeant refused to. He calmly informs the auditor that he is recording with his body-worn camera and properly identifies himself, a basic expectation under the College of Policing's Code of Ethics, yet one that's often ignored. When the auditor asks whether he knows who the MPCC is, the PCSO doesn't get defensive or dismissive. Instead, he responds with, "I can have a look at the letter," showing a genuine willingness to engage and understand. This is exactly how these situations should be handled, with professionalism, openness, and mutual respect. Unlike the sergeant, who relied on status and ego while refusing to hear or even read relevant information, the PCSO demonstrates the right mindset.
So far, you've come up to me, you've been very professional, okay? You could see what I was doing, okay? I stated, you know who the MPCC are? You said yes, I've shown you that document, okay? And you're listening and you're being reasonable with the actual conversation.
Yeah.
Now, you've decided to actually come up and actually engage and actually have a face-to-face intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas that sergeant came out, was very rude, very aggressive. Sergeant, if I get an apology, I will make my way. Okay, now I can't get fairer than that. The way in which you approached me and the manner in which you did, right, and with what you actually threatened me with, okay, was wrong and out of order. As I said, if I get an apology from you, I will make my way, no problems. Pardon?
I don't think I threatened you.
Did you threaten me with arrest?
I said it was a possibility that you
No,
could be arrested.
you told me I would be.
If you,
Okay, which is a threat.
You're in a private police car park.
It's not. There's no sign that states
Right
private.
of access is not granted.
Well, no, there is no implied right of
Okay, you are- I'm
Well,
telling
under
you, you're
Section
not-
33 of the Criminal Justice Act of 1972, okay, I have the right of access.
The sergeant claiming that implied right of access is not granted might reflect internal expectations, but unless those boundaries are explicitly communicated to the public, his statement carries no legal weight. You can't just declare an open space to be private after someone has already lawfully entered it. The auditor quoting Section 33 is spot on. The law recognizes that many publicly accessible spaces, even on private land, are open to members of the public unless and until access is clearly revoked. In this case, unless the auditor was told to leave under a clear lawful direction or the area was signed and secured, he had every legal right to be there.
You are preventing us from responding to...
No, I'm not preventing you from doing anything. I'm engaging with an actual officer on duty.
You're in private
Okay.
police car park.
There's no sign that states private.
I'm informed you.
Did I come through a gate? No, what you inform, Sergeant, what you inform, okay, and what the law is are two different things completely. That's why I've just said to you, right, I get an apology, I will make my way and I will bid you good day. Well, I'm not going to be threatened by
I
you.
haven't meant any harm to you. I've been out, I've engaged with you.
Well, no, you shouldn't threaten people. As soon as you approached me, you were very aggressive.
I've not been aggressive.
Yes, you were when you first
don't
approached
believe
me.
I was.
Well, first of all, you didn't even want to identify. Okay, I had
Fully
to.
identify.
It makes no
What is your
difference.
name, sir?
Okay, I don't have to give you that.
Okay. So you don't want to identify yourself?
Okay, well, if you want to call me anything, call me Plod.
Okay. Well, I prefer to call you by your, if that's
No.
not your name, your real name.
Well, you don't know if that is or not.
I don't know.
Okay, and that's why I'm saying
That's why you want
you
to-
can call me Plod.
The auditor isn't being detained, he's not suspected of any offence, and he has no legal obligation to provide his name in this situation. It's clear the sergeant isn't interested in resolution, he's looking for leverage. By fishing for the auditor's details, he's attempting to restore authority through information, not law. It's a defensive move officers sometimes use when they've been outmatched legally and don't want to admit they were wrong, but it doesn't work, and it only drags the situation out unnecessarily. The irony is that had the sergeant just said, "Alright, fair enough, you're within your rights," and walked away, the interaction would have ended right there. Instead, he chose pride over professionalism, and the camera caught all of it.
Okay, and that's why I said that for what was actually said and done, okay, if I get an apology, I will bid you good day.
I don't believe I was aggressive.
Well, is it right to threaten somebody with arrest? Is it right to threaten somebody with arrest for doing a lawful activity?
it's debatable whether it was lawful activity, wasn't it? You're on private property.
No, it
In
doesn't
my
state
mind,
private
you're creating a
property.
breach of the peace.
It does not state private property.
and I'm telling you,
okay,
it's
and what you got to
private
remember, okay, is it's public property.
I've informed you that this is a private police car park with private.
Well, there's nothing up there that
private
states
vehicles.
private.
I understand that, but I've informed you several times.
Okay.
It's private.
And I also did ask
Right
you.
access is not there.
I also did actually ask you
Yeah.
to give me the correct law
Okay.
for that, and I said that if you could give me that as well,
So
that I would also make my
it's
way.
a breach of the peace.
It's not a breach of the peace.
To
Hang
me,
on. You tried to come out with breach of the peace, okay? You tried to come out with trespass,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Did you inform me of civil, which I agree with?
Right? Yeah. Right. You then also tried to come out with literally to do with me,
I didn't come out with anything else. I came out with the breach of the peace and told you you're trespassing in the private police car park.
and as I said to you, okay, there are no signs there,
I
so there is no
understand
law
that.
that has
I'm
been
not
broken.
I'm not debating that. I agree with you.
Okay, so if you actually agree with me, I'm doing nothing wrong.
If I've upset you and offended you, I apologise.
Okay? Right, and that's all I was looking for. Okay, so I say thank you very much for your apology.
Thank you.
Right, and I'll bid you good day.
Thank you.
See, that's exactly all what it needed to be like. Okay, and can I say to yourself, thank you very much for your time. Okay, I really do appreciate it. Okay, and do have a lovely day. Okay, Sergeant, have a lovely
Good day,
day.
sir.
Okay, so.
The sergeant finally offers an apology, but even that comes wrapped in pride. If I've upset you or offended you, I apologise. That one word, if, says everything. It's not an admission, it's a deflection. Rather than owning up to the clear failures in his conduct, the sergeant tries to keep one foot out of accountability, as if the footage doesn't speak for itself. From start to finish, this officer got it wrong. He claimed the car park was private with no signage, no barrier, and no lawful explanation. He threatened arrest under breach of the peace, without a single member of the public present to support such a claim. He refused to read the MPCC guidance the auditor tried to show him, and instead leaned entirely on his rank, repeatedly saying, "As a police officer, I'm telling you, that's not law, that's ego." In stark contrast, the PCSO handled the situation with calm, professionalism, and the willingness to learn. He identified himself, informed the auditor he was recording, and even asked to read the letter, the kind of respectful engagement that could have de-escalated everything from the start. That moment alone shows how much of this situation was shaped by the sergeant's attitude, not by any real legal issue. The sergeant's refusal to engage, reliance on misinformation, and constant fishing for the auditor's identity after being proven wrong all demonstrate a deep misunderstanding or disregard for public rights. What could have been a quiet moment of filming turned into a half hour of legal bluffing and power trips caught entirely on camera. In the end, this wasn't just a failed attempt to remove someone lawfully standing on public access ground. It was a textbook display of poor policing, misused authority, and how rank without knowledge leads to embarrassment and accountability. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me continue with my independent coverage. Also, don't forget to check out Plod. His channel is linked in the description. Show him some love. Thanks for watching. This was Rate the Audits, and I'll see you in the next one.